Sex, right?
Oh, no.
Is that right?
Oh,
Oh,
I'm gonna get in trouble with this one.
well, you'll have to ask me about that.
Okay.
Our tongues.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna be doing some of this, and let's see what's the, what did I do with the, eraser? I don't know. Put it over here, maybe.
This was too short.
Oh, what's up, sex?
Here, I got this.
Now,
I got this.
look at this one now. This is a double Scorpio.
Oh, that's you.
Terrible man,
That's you.
terrible man. Let's see what he's got.
See, the thing with Mesfen, Mesfen, I can't do
Yeah.
with him with Destiny Ruler.
Yeah.
I can't say, oh, you got Cancer rising, therefore you moved your Destiny Ruler.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
don't know the-
I can't do that with this chart.
Yeah.
I,
Hard to tell that.
yeah, you know, for example, Venus in Gemini, and is conjunct Uranus. That means that the one thing I say, since I don't know the house it's in, I can't know the houses.
Yeah.
Because every 24 hours it's moving through all those houses, right? So if you don't know the house, all you can do is read the planets. So say, okay, Venus conjunct Uranus. Anybody want to give me some idea what Venus Uranus might mean together? Anybody? Venus rules what?
Oh, it's a person that is non-conventional,
Good for you. Very good.
out of the
Non-conventional.
box thinker,
Okay, independent. Uranus.
independent.
Uranus is-
Desires freedom through money.
Yeah.
Why does he desire freedom through money? Uranus rules freedom. Venus rules money. They're together. It means I want to find my way to freedom, and anything that blocks that, I'm going to try to break out of it. Anything that blocks my freedom of expression and resourcefulness, let's say it that way. Anything that blocks me from being resourceful, I'm going to find a solution and break out. He also would have a genius. Uranus rules genius. Did you know that? It's said to be, we call people that have strong Uranus influences, we call them eccentric. Because they don't think like, you said it best, Bev. You said it best, that thinks outside the box.
Outside the box.
Uranus always does that. It breaks out, it breaks free. It also shows the capacity to make money through larger movements of social movements, because Uranus rules transformation, revolution, change. He could get involved in the finances of a revolutionary organization somehow and be handling their affairs. Those are things you would do well. And Venus in conjunct Uranus means I want to use my resources for somehow to improve the likes of humanity, but I don't know how to do it. But that's what it would be. Humanity is, the greater, larger humanity is Uranus. Venus with it means what could I do that would benefit me financially, that would break me out of the box, as you say, think outside the box, but also that would do what? That would help me bring freedom to myself and to others in some way that'll make us all good money. The thing about Venus... Go ahead.
That's right on. You don't have to know the time of birth. You just
That's him. He's
Yeah.
constantly looking the
And
collective
out of the box,
result.
yeah. I can do it.
Constantly.
And he can achieve that, because it's these are real powerful energies in his chart. The thing is, he has Mars and let me just look real quick. He's got Mars and Mars. Venus at 17 Gemini. Trine Neptune. Okay. Now, the other thing, the one affliction with Venus, again, we don't know its destiny rule, it's Venus, okay? It's 150 degrees, it's afflicting Jupiter. Jupiter means, and Jupiter's in Scorpio, so this affliction is coming from Venus in Gemini, 17, to 18 degrees of Scorpio. It's 150 degrees, remember that's one side of an opposition. It's called an aspect of a quincunx. It's a stressful aspect. It's kind of like an opposition, but it's, And in this case, that, that warns against Venus to Jupiter. It warns against, see, because I don't know the houses, but there's somehow potentially Jupiter in Scorpio is a loss that comes through extravagance for one. You have to always be careful about that in your life. Don't ever overstep the bounds and think you can do it, because that can bring problems. The other thing is any extravagance you have that you have had, or any excess you have in your life, can be taken away, because it's in Scorpio, by a mate or another person that's in your life.
Yeah, it's happened. So that's done.
That's happened. But the point is that the Scorpio is always telling me, you be careful with partnerships. Because you want to make sure that, because Scorpio is Jupiter's in there, which means that the person, if they see you doing real well, can grab that resource and can grab it. Jupiter's there. That means, oh, you got too much and I want to have it. And if I can't find it, I'm going to find it. There's something there you're holding back from me.
Scorpio, the invisible enemy.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And Scorpio is other people's money, but it's also the mate's money. That's 7th house, Scorpio 8th, right house. So that's going on. But because we don't know the houses, we can't be as specific as I'd like to be. He has Saturn conjunct Pluto in his chart as well. And it's in Leo. Saturn conjunct, let's see what it's doing. It's, let's see, Saturn. It's squaring Pluto's wide orbit. It's about 7 degrees from square to Jupiter, which would bring Saturn maybe into. See, and Saturn squaring that Jupiter is and Pluto involved. Pluto again is 8th house. Pluto, money of the mate of the relationship, and it's joined with Saturn, which means that the mate's money, the other person's money, is going to be very evil about making sure they get everything you have. Saturn is Satan, the devil, the serpent, okay? It's joined with Pluto. Pluto means money that belongs to you and somebody else, okay? But generally the other person. Pluto's money, 8th house stuff. And Saturn's sitting right there, which means that there's a great amount of hatred directed towards you to wipe you out financially, because that's in your 2nd house of money. Well, I'm wrong. I don't know your houses.
Sure.
But I know the planets, okay? So, anyway. So, 27 times. Also, these are Saturn and Pluto are in Leo. Leo rules your children. And generally the efforts to economically hurt you also involves some efforts to hurt you with your children and somehow alienate you and separate you, okay? Am I being too personal? I don't want to be that.
No, that's right.
But that's going on, I think, in this chart. This is real powerful because Saturn is really knife in the back, okay? And it's in Leo. Somehow your children are involved in this somehow. Okay.
He has his son in Capricorn.
Huh?
A Capricorn son.
His son?
Yeah, so Saturn is there.
Sure, we get along very, very well.
Yeah.
But my wife tries,
Yeah.
especially with my daughter.
There's going to be efforts to do that, okay? But anyway, again, this is not doing all the progressions, transits. When we sit down, we want to do the whole chart, okay? I'm trying to do the best I can with what I got.
Yeah.
If I don't have the time, I'm not going to be as accurate as I could be.
I think it's pretty accurate so far.
But the bottom line is that you've learned something today. You know what you learned? You learned an integral part of reading the chart, and that's to find what? Help me. To find what in the chart?
The aspect.
The aspect, but what planet are you going to look for first in the chart? One of the most important in the chart.
The sun and moon, the
Huh?
ruler, the ruler, the sun.
Good, that's true too, but
I wonder what
the destiny ruler.
Yeah, the mid-heaven ruler or?
Midheaven is the 10th house.
Oh,
Okay, if a planet's on the 10th, it gives it power.
Yeah, well,
But remember, what I taught you today was something that you didn't know before you walked in this room. And that's your destiny ruler. Unfortunately, with Mesfen, because we don't have the time, we don't know his destiny ruler. But all of you that have your ascendant, you know what that ascendant sign is, you know what your destiny ruler is now. Right? Okay? So you want to follow that in the chart, you see, and try to see what it's doing in that chart. I have Sagittarius rising, so what's my destiny ruler? Jupiter. So I go to my Jupiter in my chart, and guess what it's doing? It's on a grand cross. With Venus, Neptune, and the Moon. Most of my problems started with my mother, who didn't raise me, didn't do a very good job of that. Mother, Moon. You see that? That's my destiny. I was born with that cross. But my Jupiter is also in a grand trine to my Sun and Pluto. So here's another message. Oh, Orion, there's something here. If Jupiter's trine to Pluto and your Sun, that means your life has a purpose that is something to do with what? Jupiter. And Pluto, which is what? Resurrection and life and Christ consciousness, if you look at the meanings of Pluto. And Jupiter, which is what? To prophesy. To be the prophet.
Religion.
Huh?
The religion.
Exactly, religion, prophecy, all that stuff. So that's kind of what happened. Out of all the cross I bear, for all those 9 solitudinal years in prison, I came out with what? A message to help other people deal with their own crises. So what I'm saying is, it's not all, we can do this, we can do this till we're blue in the face, basically, but we need to start with some things in a chart. So next time you sit down with a chart, you're going to look at the main things in the chart. You're going to look for the destiny rule if you know the time. If you don't do it, because you're guessing. So what if you don't know the time? How are you going to do a chart? Have you thought about that one? Some people do 6 a.m. charts. And that's when the sun's rising. Puts the sun on the ascendant. It helps give a better reading sometime. Some people prefer to do a noon chart, 12 noon, put the sun up at the top. Most all your charts, when you do them with these software programs, offer the option to do a sunrise chart. In other words, it just does it automatically. You don't know the time, you just click it and it makes the sunrise chart. It makes it coming up in the east. So you can still get a lot of information. You can still find out what we talked about Saturn and the Moon afflictions, weight, overeating, will, Sun, Moon, conflicts, right? Okay, we start looking at the charts and we start looking at these aspects and we start trying to get a message out of that chart. The messages will start talking to you. The chart will start talking to you, believe me, the more you do it. But start with your own charts at home. Go through your charts and look at, when you go home this week, look at the destiny ruler yourself and follow it through in the chart. Look at the aspects it's making. Get a program. I told you to get it. Please get it. It's only $30. Yeah.
What is the name of the program?
Yeah.
It's called Time Passages. Time Passages.
Time passages.
Yeah, and I think that's one word. It's it's an amazing program because it does everything that you can look at the meanings of things, interpret. You can do progressions. New moons, I had to teach you how to find new moons. That's part of the next class. The new moons happen every month. If you look, you don't know how to use an ephemeris yet. I haven't, an ephemeris is a record of all the planetary positions every day of every month. And they make them for years and years. And you can get them on the internet, you don't have to buy them. But you can go down and find out when the sun and moon are in the same place. Okay? When they're joined together. On that day it's a new moon, and you can look at the degree. And you'd pick the sun's degree because the sun only moves a degree a day. The moon moves 12, so whatever the sun is, and you see it in the same sign, you know the moon's going to pass over that point. So that degree where the sun is where your new moon is. I have new moon tables for all of you. I think I might have given them to you. If I didn't, I will, and particularly in the next class, because you're going to need them. And I do them for a year ahead, so you can just look down and say, whatever month it is, July, August, September, and find out where the new moon falls. And then the other thing I'll teach you is how to use progress moons. Your charts, you don't have to even do this calculation. All these software programs do them for you. So if you get time passages and you do the progressions, just hit the progressions, it'll show you where the progressed moon is right there. And you just write it down and put it on the outside of your chart. And then you look down the new moon chart, which I'll give you the year ahead, you can do it. And you take the new moon and you say, okay, what's July and August look like for me? What's going to happen then? Where's that moon fall in my chart? Then you look at transit Saturn. What's transit Saturn? It's where the Saturn is right now in the heavens. And you say, oh, it's a 20 degrees Scorpio or wherever it is. You put it on the outside of the chart. Now you take those three things and you start interpreting them because they're either giving you a message, and it may be a severe one. It may not be. It may be a good message. But the point being, after I've taught you that, I'll teach you one more thing, and that's how to use Jupiter the same way. Okay? The fortune planet, unfortunately. So, if you're going to sign in, and for sure, there's a couple things with this class. If we don't have a class and you pre-sign up, obviously, I'll give you money back. Don't worry about it. Or I'll give you a full reading and time spent. We'll make it up one way or the other. The other thing is, I haven't even posted it on Meetups yet. And I'll do that this week, and I'll set it up so we have the class being advertised. We have how many more classes? One more.
One more.
Huh? One more. Okay. What I'd like you to do this week, if you've got the time, try to take the time to get some study in. I'd like you to come back with something on paper for me. I'm not going to test you, you know that. I'm not going to judge you or anything else. But I'd like you to do this. I'd like you to come back with the most powerful major aspects. We're talking, again, I'm going to do stress aspects. I want to see them in your chart. Moon to Saturn, moon to whatever they are. I want you to go through your chart, and I want you can use the little graph on the bottom and look at which ones are red, which ones say square, opposition, which ones say conj 150 degrees. They're all in red at the bottom. Make a little page and just put them on there. Next week, what we'll do is, if you want to, you don't have to do this unless you feel good with it. I'll take those aspects and we'll put them up here, and we'll start looking at them, interpreting them for you. And I want you to do as much of an interpretation as you can under that aspect. Just use your own sense. I gave you some sheets. The new sheet, did you get the new one? I laid it over there, right? Did you get yours?
Yes.
The long sheet that
Yes.
I passed out? Okay. You can use those kind of as a guide of the interpretation of the interactions of those planets. Because a lot of them are on that sheet. So if you're looking at a Saturn-Moon aspect, you can kind of figure out what it means because it's got negative and positive rendering on that long sheet. And then you can ask yourself, how has this affected my life? And how is it working in my life right now? And I think you'll be amazed. But I want you to get to understand yourself. Know thyself, and it must follow the night, the day. Thou canst then be false to any man, Shakespeare said. So know thyself. Know your own chart. Don't worry about being preoccupied with me and my chart. You need to start somewhere, and that's the best place to go. If you have a chart of somebody you know, and you'd rather do that chart this week and bring in the aspects, and I'll do that instead of you. So you may want to do that, okay? So the point is, whether it's a brother, a sister, a parent, a child, doesn't matter. Bring the chart in. And if you need a chart during the week for somebody like this, if you want to do one on your child or one of your children, it doesn't matter. Get the information to me, time, date, and place of birth in an email. You have to start with me. You send me the email. I will do the chart for you, and I'll send it back to you, the chart itself, in an email to you. So you can have a week to kind of play with all this. It might be better to use somebody else's chart, actually. I mean, if you feel like, because we do a lot of your own in here, you kind of look at it a lot. But if you got a boyfriend or a husband or a child you want to look at.
I use Astro.com. I have my kids.
You did them all?
Yeah, and it was amazing. For example, last time I realized that I have a Saturn square with the moon. And my husband has Saturn opposite with the moon, and one of my kids has Saturn square with the moon.
Really?
So, yeah, I don't know what that means, but it was like, wow. those bad aspects.
It's amazing. Like my son Andre from our marriages has a Gemini moon, same place I got mine. Another son of mine from previous marriage, same thing, moon in Gemini, same place. What's the odds? I mean, it just amazes me sometimes, you know. But you know, it's the one thing about if you have a lot of Gemini influence in your chart, for example, it gives writing ability generally, especially moon, gives a flow ability. You know, I used to be very poetic, used to write a lot of poetry. And of course, in the dark days of my life, it was a lot of negative stuff, you know, like suicide isn't really a coward who puts an end to his life. If that life is bloomed and flowered, wait, how's it go? I wrote all these years ago when I was in that state of mind. Isn't really a coward who puts an end to his life if that life is bloomed and flowered and tasted of pleasure and strife. Isn't it much more noble instead of becoming festered to do what's considered ignoble and destroy that which pesters? Something about making the cup that ends it, I forgot. I used to write all this stuff. And I was sending it all out to this minister lady, and she was just she wanted to publish it, you know, because it was just copious. I think when you're in stress and you're in these situations, you can become very poetic. So, anyway. So, you know, but then I got to the place where I wrote the poem, which showed where my mind changed and my attitude changed and my comprehension of life changed, and it was on what is life but love in full sway? Take it away and there's death and decay. If it's contorted and twisted around, it never leaves its infant home ground. But if its presence is stately and true, it edifies and beautifies without a cue. That's what love does. It edifies and beautifies. So you're all loving people, and it's a great pleasure to have you join my life here and be at these meetings and share your lives. And I thank you so much. We have one more class. We missed the lady tonight. She didn't make it. I hope all's well with her. And if any of you have her email address, drop her a note. And what time is it? 10:30. We did well. And thank you again for sharing.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you.
Can we get the transcendence on email?
The one I gave it to him.
Oh, you gave it to
Did you
us.
see it on your seat?
I
Did you
did,
sit down?
okay, I put it here and didn't look at it,
We
I'm
don't
sorry.
put that one, so you will.
Yeah, that's one I gave you. Look at the sheet.
Yeah, we didn't.
It doesn't say the
We
same.
didn't read,
What's it
but
say at
it's
the top
supposed to
though?
be.
Understanding NATO.
What did I do with that sheet?
Understanding.
Is that this? I picked some from there, like this.
That's not the same, Ron.
It isn't?
No.
I think so. Let me see.
Yeah, this one is mostly Jupiter, Mars,
Understand NATO versus transit.
and versus Natal.
Neptune. Saturn. Saturn,
Look at
Sun.
this man, Tony, the sun in his first house, 3 square.
I think I might have rewrote it, but it might be this.
Mamma mia. I'm looking to see, he made his money